California on America's Mayor Live. We're approaching, and we'll be there before the end of this year for sure, our 600th show. I'm sorry. Oh, we already did that. Our 1,000th show. And we're going to do something to do the countdown to our 1,000th show. Next week, we have July 6th, which is the first day back after the 4th. We are going to change our times, but it won't matter if you watch us at 8, because we'll be on live at 5 o'clock for America's Mayor Live. Then it'll be on X, almost forever, right? But I should explain to you just a little bit of the ins and outs of this kind of broadcasting, which I think is going to be the broadcasting of 10 years from now. So you might as well learn it if it isn't the broadcasting of now. But the reality is, we have, as I said, almost for 1,000 times gone on. We every once in a while at the beginning we changed our times because we rested on the Yankee games. But the Yankees pretty much began at 8, so we started at 8 o'clock. So we locked into that time zone. And look, we have great numbers. I mean, we've been up and we've been down, but we've been over 1.5 million. We've been over 1.5 million. I'd say if you want to do a fair average, we're in the 300,000s, 200 to 300,000s, almost all of the time. The good many times we're in the 5 or 6. Okay, we're doing very well at that time slot. So there's a bit of a risk because people are used to it. However, if you look at us carefully, we pick up half of the number I just told you after the show's over. That means people are watching it at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, who knows? 10 the next morning, up until the next show. How about this? Sometimes we pick up 30, 40,000 after the show's over into 2 days later. It depends on maybe something about the show became relevant 2 days later. We said they were going to hit the east coast shores of the Strait of Hormuz, and all of a sudden they're doing it, and they go back to see what did we say about it. That happens. So we decided if we got on a little earlier, and we got this live broadcast up between 5 and 6. That gives you 2 extra hours before 8 to watch it if you want. And anybody who's stuck to 8 is going to have a total live broadcast, okay, live on tape. I tell you, if something happens, like we go live on tape, and all of a sudden at 9 o'clock, which is we do now, right? We go live at 8. Sometimes at midnight, something happens. We come on. So unless something is pulling us away, which would have to do with the president or something equally important, we'll come on when it's live. So get used to it, because right now I'm on live. For me, it's 3:04 in the afternoon in Pasadena, California. I'm going to go speak, and so is Dr. Maria, is a featured speaker at the Armenian Apostolic Church of Pasadena, which, believe it or not, that there is a very, very large Armenian community, always has been in Los Angeles. It has progressively, I mean, in the right sense, become much more Republican, much more Trump-oriented. They have been friends and allies of mine since I ran for mayor as a Republican. And I'm here to really talk about something we're going to make a big feature of our show as we go into the summer, and we find a way to celebrate in our way the 250th anniversary. We're going to focus on the attack on Western civilization, and we're going to focus on what we have to do to fight back and to accept it and deal with it, and to stop thinking that all of these horrible things that are happening are separated. They all have common roots, 2 or 3 different common roots, but 2 or 3 different common roots that have come together. We want to show that because we think you have to understand it to combat it. Because it's like being attacked by 30 different groups or 10 different groups, and you try to fight each one of them. But in fact, there's one core, or maybe two behind it, like the Second World War, an axis of Germany, Italy, and Japan. But they're fighting in 30 countries. But you want to win it, you got to take out Germany, Japan, and Italy. Over. The other countries resolve themselves. That's what's going on here. This is a combination of a 15 to 1600-year-old command, religious and ethnic and everything else, of Muhammad in the name of Allah Akbar, in the name of Allah, to, in essence, destroy the Jewish and the Catholic religion, and broader than that, any and all civilizations that conflicted with his religion. Well, there was one main civilization he was thinking about because it controlled most of the world he was interested in then, and that was Western Judeo-Christian civilization. So it all fit in together. And he conducted, and you can go read history, wars and crusades occurred and everything else occurred. That's one group, and whether that's remaining consistent for 1,600 years or not, that's a matter for historians to debate, and I have conflicting opinions about consistent. Has it remained strong for 1,600 years? No doubt about that. And does it rear its ugly head too often? Yes. Has it killed more people than communism? I don't know. That'll be one of the things we find out about in this journey we're going to go on. So that's one group, and we began to see in our modern age. Well, we didn't see their alliance with Hitler. We didn't see the Grand Mufti of Palestine becoming a good friend of Adolf Hitler because they both agreed with the final solution: wipe out all Jewish people. Don't get teary-eyed and confused and brainwashed and intellectually vapid. And when they say death to Israel, not understand they mean death to all Jewish people, unless they want to unless they want to become Muslims. Second, there's the whole communist strain that goes back to before Marx. But if you want to go back to before Marx, you can. And I did a course on communism, and I went back to before Marx. I wanted people to see how Hegel and the nihilists created Marx, because the man was an absolutely sick, satanic man. But it started with Marx and Engels and Trotsky and Lenin and Stalin on the Russian front, and their scholars. And then you move over to the development in China with Mao and their scholars, and then some of the ones that thought they could turn their own countries, like in Italy and Spain and elsewhere, and the most prominent one of which was an Italian named Gramsci. You look at that, and you look at what they were promising and would happen and wanted to do and wanted to organize to do, which is, let's focus it broadly here, destroy Western civilization. You bring those two groups together now, who are in their own ways moderately or significantly powerful in this world, and they have come to see a community of purpose. You go back 20 or 30 years, they didn't. I mean, Russia was destroying the Muslims in Beslan and in the area around Georgia, and we were in a Georgian restaurant last night, so we were kind of reminded of it, although it was hard to be reminded of everything. We ate so much food, right, Ted? Yeah, I was, there were no pictures, thank God, but I literally was rolled out of the restaurant and spent the entire morning digesting. But the food, it's just totally different. You've got to try it. And the wine, 8,000 years old. When he first said that, I thought they had fermented it for 8,000 years. But it's a formula that's 8,000 years old. So that's all coming together here. So when you see Mandami, right, and you see Platner, they're not separated. They're joined together in a mutual goal of destroying our civilization. It's what Obama meant when he said there had to be significant changes in America. It's what Obama laid the groundwork for when he went and apologized for horrible America. It's what the New York Times was all about in 1619, the totally fictitious historical book saying America was founded to establish slavery, and equally insane false premises by the newspaper that's become a toilet paper. So here we are, and everyone is all surprised about Tuesday night. DSA, big victory. I'm going to give you, during the course of this hour, which follows up from the earlier hour, but because of the way we're doing it, it's kind of reversed around, but we'll try to make it work. And also get you ready for our, as I said, 4 to 6. What that means is our Lindell show starts at 4, goes to 5, and then we pick up. And we will be celebrating our 1,000th, Ted. I'm looking over at Ted. We will be celebrating our 1,000th America's Mayor Live on our new time slot, and our 2-hour additional time for you to get the show, which is really the reason for it, because we get so many people afterwards. If I thought we could keep up with the peak of the news, I might even do it earlier. But when you look at the Trump administration, they make news from about 3 to 5. That's if you want to do a chart, I'll do it sometime. But I'll show you that my good friend and a man who is, I think he's at the stage where you'd have a real battle if you said, who was a better president? Yeah, you always have a battle over greatest president. Greatest president is almost like who's the most beautiful woman. You could disagree completely with another man over that. Well, not completely, almost. So let me explain what happened first in the narrowest circumstance, which is getting the most news. And why is it getting the most news? Excuse my bias and prejudice, because it happened in New York. If this happened even in Illinois, it would. I mean, if 3 communist socialists got elected in Chicago, it'd be big news. But it would be confined to the continental United States, and people in New York would say, well, it hasn't happened in New York. And people around America would then pick it up. Well, it hasn't happened in New York. And people in Europe wouldn't pay any attention. No, they don't even know where Chicago is. Chicago is the place you go if you come into Kennedy and you switch planes. Or I'll give credit. I'll give credit to this place. Or you watch it on the ground when you fly from New York to Los Angeles. There are 2 places: New York, Los Angeles. If you're a Chinese communist, you like San Francisco, because San Francisco is I don't care who the mayor is. It's not bad, by the way, but the city is made up of. These are people. If you tell them that they're not communists, but if you tell them communists hate America, they would say, well, we're communists now. They're really more just hate America. We're going to do something very different that defies every moral precept, but we don't know all of them yet, so we're not sure what we're going to do. And that's the way they were brought up, as hippie whippies or whatever the hell they were. So here were the 3 races that really, you got to get down to 3 that really, the whole thing, right? So this Plattner thing has been screwing people up for quite some time now. This whole idea that a guy in Maine that we think of as a somewhat conservative place, if not mixed, right? There's a guy running who had a Hitler thing on for 15, 16 years. There's no possibility he didn't know. It's even backed up by contemporaneous notes of people saying he explained it to them. And if he were a Republican, they'd be demanding that we throw him out of the party. And every Republican that ran would be asked, would he be thrown out of the party? Who was that guy that we had in the 80s? He was down in New Orleans or somewhere. He was a communist or a Nazi.
We didn't have him, but
No, we did. He was a Republican. He was sort of a Republican. He had his own party.
He may have said he was, but the party didn't.
No. He said David Duke. Yeah, David. You know how many times I condemned? Do you know how many times I was running for office when David Duke was still a figure? Do you know how many times I condemned David Duke?
Yeah, right. I met the guy.
More often than I told my children I loved them. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Trump, remember they tried to get Nancy?
Oh, yeah, Trump did it years later. Duke was gone for 20 years.
Right.
Did you support David Duke? David. Like now, I had to be reminded who he was. David. Yeah, he was like a scumbag.
He's most popular because the left-wing media built him up, right?
So this is their David Duke, but they embrace him. So there's something you're going to take out of all this as we go from one little example to another, and we'll do it quickly, and we'll come to a big conclusion, and then there's a lot we got to do about it. There's evil at the core of the Democrat Party. They have committed too many crimes, too many sins to not have to undergo a major purging. In fact, I think they need a new name. I don't think they can function under that name. It's been so vilified, really, honestly, in American history, starting with slavery. So there are 3 races in New York where Mondami, who now got elected, very surprisingly, endorsed 3 candidates, and in 2 cases against, I would say, tough Democrats to beat. And in one, it might have been an open race to replace Congressman Velasquez's district. So that one you would say, oh, okay, new race, whatever. But Dan Goldman, I would consider first of all, somebody I disagreed with completely, and I probably castigated on the show any number of times. But certainly a very, very well-established Republican for the short time, Democrat for the short time that he was in Congress. He was on television all the time. He was attacking Trump all the time, defending Democrats all the time, lying quite a bit. And he's also independently wealthy. He's daddy's boy, like all of these guys are. But he did have a background, which I can't ignore, as an assistant U.S. attorney in the greatest district in the world, the one that I ran, not when I was there. And he was part of one of the impeachment teams. Now, they were so bad that I'd have to go look at his record as an assistant U.S. attorney to see what kind of lawyer he is, because their lawyering in both impeachments was pathetic. They made it up. And the press let them make it up. And then it eventually exploded on them because they get away with it. But at any event, this is not like just a guy that was in Congress. He didn't do anything. This is a guy who was on television, I don't know, more than some of the commentators. The second one, and Brad Lander ran against him. Now, Brad Lander was a city controller, so he hadn't won a citywide election. That would have to be granted. But he was a terrible controller. When you look at the condition of the city that was inherited by Mondani, which of course he blames on Adams. Well, the controller gets a good deal of the blame for that too. And this is the guy he's endorsing for Congress. He's basically spend money and bankrupt the city. Because if you do, we can make it a communist government. But what that means is the government will own everything. And meanwhile, start getting the government to own everything. Take over the grocery stores, take over the daycare, take over the transportation, take over everything. Mondami has already expressed that he thinks the government is a much better and more efficient producer of the means of production than the private sector. And we have to really call him a socialist. Only if you are unable to read and you are completely intellectually vapid. When a man tells you he wants government to own every means of production, he just told you he subscribes to one of the core principles of virulent Marxist communism. So Lander took on Goldman. Under normal circumstances, Goldman in his second term, fourth term?
Running for his fourth? Let me check.
well, that doesn't matter. But after having established himself more than most congressmen, correct? I'm talking about the Democrat. Don't get all unnerved about him because as a Republican we were criticizing him all the time. That should have helped him as a Democrat. He got beat. I thought he was going to. I didn't think Lander. I didn't think Lander was going to make it. I thought the one that would make it would have been Claire Valdez, largely because she was running for an open seat, truly open seat. Claire Valdez was running for Velasquez's seat, and she won it by 20 points. Claire Valdez did. That's the one I picked. I said, well, she has to win. It's an open seat. I thought that Goldman would have enough to overcome Lander. Lander, they're both Jewish. Goldman is very much against the attacks on Israel and will not buy into Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people. Lander has bought into it after rejecting it originally, which shows you he's a slimy little shit, like a traitor, like Schumer. Didn't matter. He wiped the hell out of Goldman, 65-33. I mean, that was like the biggest wipeout of all. He just wiped the floor with him. Well, maybe he was a terrible candidate too. He was sort of an annoying guy. Maybe Democrats didn't like him either. We Republicans didn't like him. But I thought because he was like that, Democrats liked him. But sometimes, I mean, if people really got to know Schumer, he never would have been elected anything. He's the most annoying, nudge you ever met in your whole life. And everybody makes fun of him in politics, including his friends. It's been that way for years, and you're only finding that out now. And also that he's a massive coward. I mean, not even an inch of heroism in his body. Now, Chevalier, is she the craziest of all, or Valdez? I don't know. Chevalier ran against another one that I thought would win because he's got a massive Hispanic machine. He outraised it 3-1. He and his family have been representing that district for years. I'm not saying they're doing a good job. I mean, God knows the Espaillat family. Well, no reason to go into that right now. But I mean, would I be normally happy that they got Espaillat out of Congress? Sure, one less strange guy, questionable guy. Well, she got Chevalier beat him. Now, she did beat him close. It was 48-45. But he's a sitting congressman from a family that's owned that seat for a decade. And then Claire Valdez ran against a new candidate, Antonio Reynoso. Claire got 55% of the vote, and Reynoso got 35%. That was a big victory at 20 points. Here's what they share in common. Lander is a little less strident on Israel because he's Jewish and originally was a Zionist and originally supported Israel. Now, even Goldman, who was better on Israel than Lander, backed off a lot. And this may be why he got creamed, because nobody liked him. In other words, he tried to remain pro-Jewish, but he also condemned the Jews. Schumer doesn't even pretend to be pro-Jewish, by the way. He's so scared. I wonder if he's getting medicine for it, like testosterone or something. Or maybe he could go see those people who do maybe they could do a counter sex alteration operation and give him a pair of, well, never mind. So of course, Mondami is running around like, this is great. This is great. Now, you should know that Chevalier, every day something else comes out. She was one of the big participants in the 2024 Columbia riots, for which buildings were burned, people went to jail, all got freed, even though they beat the crap out of people, destroyed buildings, kept people out of school, because they went before a communist DA put there by Soros. And she basically, I mean, if you listen to what she wrote, it kind of ends up with, they would be satisfied if they threw the Jews out of Columbia. She's still connected with them. which means that even though she did get campaign contributions through the serpentine Soros organization, it means she was getting paid by Soros when she was doing the Columbia riots. And in any other place in America, a major lawbreaker, any other place in America. So she's been elected. She believes in defunding the police straight out, right? Non-negotiable, just defund them, replace them with peacekeepers. Val does too. Lander almost. Lander supported the $1 billion cut to the NYPD and thought it was too little. So on a scale of let's take away most of their money, all of them agree with that. Let's take it all away. Chevalier agrees with all away. She also believes that daycare, they all do, should be free. In other words, you should pay for it. You should pay for somebody else's daycare. You also should pay, of course, for somebody else's abortion, sex change, or whatever else they come up with in the future, placing their noses on the back of their heads or something like that. You must agree with, they believe the government should protect people who want sex change operations and allow them to have it, even if they're minors, against the wishes of their parents, like their fellow communist in Minnesota, Tampon Tim, who actually has that as a matter of law. They, of course, aggressively support abortion, which goes up to the very second that you're in the womb, to a grace period afterwards. If you should accidentally be born alive, the mother has a chance to wake up and kill the baby. They are in favor of Hamas and against Israel. They are in favor of the Iran reign of terror and against the United States. They think our military should be shrunk in half, and all that money should be given so that whatever portion of America, which is roughly half, a little more than half, isn't dependent, should become dependent. And they are straight out and out anti-American communists. And they have been elected, and so have a lot of them in other parts of the country. Now, when you come back, I'm going to show you how we should deal with it, and what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right. And let's emphasize the doing right part, because this is a battle for the survival of that wonderful country given to us 250 years ago, that has been the glory of the world, the best government ever existed, the longest democracy. And it could be teetering. I don't think it is, but it could be, and I can't escape that. So let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost. cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code Rudy. Act fast.
These deals are
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Hi, this is Rudy Giuliani. You're back on America's Mayor Live. So Trump has given a very, very, I think, pointed warning to us about the elections. And they weren't just in New York, and I don't even like giving them lots of publicity. I can go over all of them if you want. But I do want you to know, and the president was very clear, many communists running in badly failing blue states. The votes seem to have them doing quite well against each other. He means against, well, I think what he means is a lot of the Democrats they were running against, like Goldman, were communists also, or if not communists, they were trained Marxist in college, particularly if they went to an Ivy League college. And they were sort of, the more extreme ones were running against the less extreme ones in most cases. You really didn't have anyone running who was a moderate, you didn't have a Fetterman. Espaillat is someone who, under all sets of circumstances, including the rumors about the family and that it's just similar to, well, Charlie Rangel was the dean of the delegation. When he left a multi-millionaire, and Harlem was for shit. And he represented it forever. And he left it in a way that I had to fix it. And anybody ever wants to know how bad it was, after all that time at Charlie Rangel, who did bupkis for Harlem, a few little things here and there so he could get, and also had complete control over the Harlem Hospital and put in Harlem Hospital people that were incapable of taking care of illnesses and killed people. And nobody did anything about it. Well, Charlie Rangel was the rule, not the exception, of congressmen like that, which is why urban America is in the condition that it's in. And until we wake up to that and remove it from the false charges of racism that have protected that particular form of attack on people, and who? Attack on black people. Black people who still live through 28 shootings and 8 murders. Next time they have a Juneteenth celebration in Chicago. Only been going on for 60 years without a single Republican ever being put in charge. And why is it in New York that the lowest crime rates have occurred under Republicans? and the highest crime rates on the Democrats. You know why. So the president has made it quite clear that this is a disaster for America, and that we are in a crisis. Now, you could say we are, but then you have to start looking at it correctly so that we have to start looking at it microscopically so you can attack it correctly. First, let me make it worse before I make it better. To say that this does not express the feelings of Democrats about America would be wrong. Every poll taken, and they've been taken a lot because, we're about to celebrate our 250th birthday. Most Democrats aren't celebrating our 250th birthday. Most Democrats, by a small margin, not by a small margin, over 50%, there's only 29% that don't have pride in America. In fact, it's worse than that. Back in 2001, okay, that's during the disputed election of that was back in the that was after the disputed election. And that was when we were attacked, right? 87% of Americans were extremely proud to be Americans, and only 2% were not. You know what it is today? 53% are extremely proud and 47% are not. It's gone from 2% to 47%. Now, they don't have the guts to give you the Republicans. I know what the Republicans are. Republicans are about 90% proud. The Republicans are basically exactly where, and maybe a little better than the whole country in 2001. That all comes across because of Democrats. Now, they're not all by any means communists. Here's the, if not the good news, here's the path to defeating them. 7% of the registered Democrats, and I'm using 7%, and some of it was 6, and some of it was 8, in these districts voted for these communist, Muslim extremist loving candidates. That means that 92, 93, 94% of the Democrats in that district haven't expressed their approval of it. That's an overwhelming number of people where you could have opponents if they were developed. I didn't mention the independents in these districts, and some of them have very few Republicans, but they have some 5%, 10%. You know where they are. And most of them, even though they're solidly Democrat districts, have increasing number of independents. So if we say 7% of Democrats voted for them, it probably gets down to about 5% of the district voted for them. The turnout rate, I don't know, was it 12%, 15%, 16%? Maybe a little higher? Nobody turned out. Everybody stayed home. I'm talking about the Democrats that could have voted. Only the Democrats can vote. Now, I would say they stayed home because we see how high that number is that they're not proud of America. They really believe, I'm just talking about Democrats, they really believe they can't make a difference. And that's because none of these candidates have really excited them. When you talk about AOC's excitement level or even Mondami or these people, it's because a very, very small segment of the population participates in the election. And they're giants in the land of midgets. That's the way you would describe it. If the normal sized people got into that group, they'd be wiped out. Or how about, let's try this. Even people who are not proud of being Americans, which make up most of the Democrats, but have common sense. And how about the ones that don't have pride in America and would like to have pride in America? Because the communist ones distinctly don't have pride in America, and they don't want to have pride in America. Then you're leaving out all the independents and Republicans that are available, most of whom find this, they wake up in the morning and they can't figure out what country they're in. We've got to organize them. And we've got to show them that they have to win on the local level to turn this around, because this is where we have to stop them. They're not ready to take over America. When you get elected with 7% and whatever, you're not. It could mean a lot in your district, and after that 7%, you can become much more substantial. Like, in fairness, AOC has, but they're still not on the. They're still not there yet. So the place to stop them is where they are right now. If you let them get to the next step of really contesting the Democrat Party, it may be too late. It may not be, but it may be. Because none of us are in control of this momentum. It just is what it is now. And right now it's doable to stop them, which is why we have to organize. And we have to be better. And we have to be better in developing our message, which is not just a street game attack on how it's so easy to do that. And it's so tempting to do it because they are so insanely stupid that all you want to do is make fun of them. I mean, they want to do away with the police. They want to let everybody out of prison. I mean, that isn't even sensible, educated, literate people. If you were in their house and you said that, they'd never invite you back. Like, you're just too stupid to spend time talking to them. So it's very easy for us as moderates, Republicans, whatever, to have a lot of fun making fun of them. I mean, how often do we laugh at Biden, falling down and not remembering somebody was dead and trying to walk off with the paratroopers and getting waylaid by Prime Minister Maloney? How often do we laugh at that? That's nothing to laugh at. That's the president of the United States, the most important country in the world, the country that can destroy the world, who was mentally, seriously incompetent. So seriously incompetent, we really don't know what he did. We don't know what he signed. We know he didn't sign anything. And we even know that he didn't give his approval for most of it. I don't know what that even means. Legally, it means that if you really want to, every single one of those is invalid. So let's see. There's one very important topic I want to take up, and it is a little complex, or I could cover a number of different topics. So I think what I'm going to do is cover a number of different topics. I'm going to cover a number, and I'm going to save this one. I'll tell you what it is. It's the whole analysis of what happened to Goldman. Goldman went into a public restaurant. He had dinner. Now, unlike what I originally thought, he wasn't thrown out. They found out he had dinner afterwards, and because they got a video of it, and the owners wrote a vicious thing online about him and about he should never be allowed in again on Instagram. We see that you stopped by our shop today for a coffee. Do you see how it doesn't taste like genocide juice? You see how childish and stupid they are to write that? See, here at Poetica, we don't serve racists, fascists, homophobes, genocide enablers, or anyone in between. Too bad we didn't recognize you right away, or we would have turned you away. So they would have turned him away because he's Jewish. Now that is normally thought of this restaurant as a public accommodation. It's the law, the time-honored law that was used in the case of the Woolworth counters and to change the practice of blacks not being able to eat at the same counters as white people, or ultimately blacks having to sit in the back of a bus. Two sets of laws were passed, Title II and Title VII, One prohibited showing prejudice based on race, religion, ethnic origin. In restaurants, that's what this was, hotels, sports, denominated as public accommodations. If you opened it to the public, it couldn't. If you had a private club or it's your house, you can keep anybody out. You can be as prejudiced as you want. I don't like it, but you can't. But if it's public and you're serving most people, you have to serve all people. You don't have to serve drunks. You don't have to serve criminals. You don't have to serve dirty people. Those are not what they call protected classes, right? Protected classes are race, religion. I think gender. I don't know if it was originally included, but gender would be included. But gender means male, female. They had no concept of this, a male walking around with a dress on who has a what. I don't know what that is. I think I do know what it is. So that's a law. Now, we can't say they violated it because they let him eat because they didn't know. But they said they would violate it if he came back. How about going back? Let's get him to violate it. I mean, God almighty, I spent my life doing undercover work. This would not even be undercover. This would be undercover, overcover. And he probably wouldn't want me to, but I'll go with him. I don't know if they didn't serve me, if that would be, they wouldn't serve me for political reasons. Believe it or not, I don't think that's covered by the civil rights law. Also, as a Republican, I've always been intellectually and constitutionally opposed to that whole thing. And the Supreme Court is if it hasn't declared it unconstitutional, have declared those laws unconstitutional because it's using racial distinction and racial discrimination to end racial discrimination, and all it's going to do is extend it, which is what it did for 40 years. But as Barton Schwam in the New York Post today makes clear in a brilliant article, if it's applied to them at this point, it should be, if they apply it, we should apply it until it's taken away. Because right now it's the law. And if I were a U.S. attorney, I would enforce it as it's written until the Supreme Court says, well, they almost have said. It's like, yeah. I think in good faith, you could argue they've already said it, but they haven't. Right. So I actually just did what I said I wasn't going to do. I explained the whole thing. But it's very, very interesting because I wish it was somebody that had a set of quotes because I would go with him. I mean, I really think he couldn't do it by himself to get the impact that he should get. Or maybe he should get a Republican who's Jewish to go with him, because then the discrimination against both of them would be clear. And Dan Goldman could get a lot of Jewish people would go with him. I bet we could get Mr. Kraft to go with him after talking to him the other day. That'd be something. An 80-year-old man and throw him out. Yeah. Well, they wouldn't serve him. He's even more pro-Israel than Goldman, right? I mean, it's not even close. Not even close. He's really, really pro. He's really, really pro. So
one thing we want to tell folks about before we sign out there is Sticker Mule Pro.
StickerMulePro.com/pro.
Use the promo code Rudy.
Right. Is a wonderful, wonderful place to go. Also a wonderful business for you to get involved in on a small basis for a little extra money, or not even for the money, for donate the money to your church or to your patriotic group, whatever. It's a beautiful place to go to spread patriotism. And part of what we have to do in this battle we're talking about, because you just can't battle by negative You can't battle these people just by constantly negatively attacking them. You have to show an alternative that is so beautiful to you, and it is. Patriotism is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like the people who are becoming enamored of the traditional religions, Catholic and Orthodox. They see the beauty of the service as compared to the mundane services that are presented to them and somewhat more surface theology that's presented to them by other churches or by no churches. Patriotism is profound. Living without it is extremely unsatisfying. I think if you live without patriotism in a country that deserves it, you're living in depression, and that's why you can't gather. You can't pick up. That's why you can't pick up the obvious reasons for loving America. You can't love America because honestly, you don't know how to love. It probably reflects itself in your personal life as well. Now, these are the things we want to take on because we really think this is the battle that we're really having that will go on beyond Donald Trump. And Donald Trump can put us in a very, very strong position, even win a lot of these battles or put us in a good place to win. But they can't all be won in the next 2 years. They're going to go on for 10 years. And we have to build a coalition that doesn't just attack them when they say stupid things. I think we have to do that. Politics is politics, and we have to do that. But we have to balance it with an equal amount of what they're depriving, the beauty they're depriving you of. The beauty they're depriving you of and I think the World Cup comes at a really wonderful time. To see the American people stand up and sing the national anthem. They're getting everybody to sing their national anthem now. And to listen to what the people from foreign countries say about America, you wonder where these kids come from, they come from. First of all, they come from Marxist educated Ivy League and other schools. They come from no education, being paid by Soros. And they maladjustments of our society that produces them. But the point, Ted. You have a microphone so they can hear what you said, or were you saying that for my benefit?
I just want to put a little bit of the B-roll from our game.
Tell us what we're watching.
This is the beginning of the game. So we'll restart.
This is a game between.
So that's the countdown on the big screen. They count down the beginning of the match. You remember this part, right? 3. This is the beginning of the match.
This is in Foxborough, Boston Stadium in Foxborough.
They cut. That's the beginning. That was the opening kick, I guess. And then the English fans immediately started doing their little chant, right? Remember this? And you were right across from me.
And who were they playing?
Ghana. Karen Bass's favorite team. Yeah, well, if we see her in the next few days, we'll let her know. Ghana looks really strong. She'll be happy to know.
Yeah,
Ghana played a very good game.
And she should know that obviously Ghana played such a good game. They do have water in their fire hydrants, unlike Los Angeles.
Right. See, maybe they can teach you a thing or two, and that's the crazy English fans, right? They have that big section of fans. Ghana did too on the other side. We wanted to show a little bit of that there before we sign off, and we'll play more. We have a lot of good video.
Can we show the flags? I mean, that was interesting, but that was interesting if you like soccer, which I do, but many people don't. You know what was beautiful when they put out
the flag? The flag.
No, it was their national anthems. But I was inspired by their national anthems. But I kept thinking about theirs, God Save the King. Man, we really knocked him off, didn't we? And then when we were coming out and we were driving home, there was a guy dressed up as an English soldier in Boston.
Really? Okay.
There's got to be somebody around who's going to shoot at him. Left over. I mean, hey, the war's over, guys.
Well, an announcer for Fox had the line of the night. when he said, at the beginning of the game, we'll see how the English do here. Historically, they haven't done very well in Massachusetts. They haven't fared so well in Massachusetts.
They lied about the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Yeah.
They actually lost the Battle of Bunker Hill. And they lied about it to the king. They lied about it to the king, King George. I don't know if King George was as much of a numbskull in what?
Yeah. Well, we have a hard out. Let folks know about what's happening before we get out. Starting after July 4th.
Why don't you tell them? It'd be a lot easier than just telling me to do it.
Okay, yeah. We are starting, right, tonight. We had a little special here starting at 6 p.m. But for those of you that are watching, at our usual 8 p.m. time slot, you won't really notice much difference, right? It was about an hour of time where we're missing the news here. But starting right after July 4th, July 6th, that'll be a Monday, we are starting America's Mayor live at 5 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be starting in just a few weeks. But for those of you that may be busy during that time, do not sweat it, because you can still watch us at 8 p.m. You can keep up with the very same schedule, and we'll be there for you.
And if you want to have some fun at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock your time, all right? If you're on the East Coast, at 7 o'clock your time, you can go on Lindell TV, and you'll see my Rudy Giuliani show, which usually leads into American Mayor Live. But we're doing it backwards, and you can see what it looks like when a television commentator has to do something backwards. I will not be facing...
Do you have to talk backwards now?
I will not be facing the camera. My head will be turned around the other way.
All right, Mayor. Well, we'll sign off America's Mayor Live. And do you want to sign off, Mayor, for that? What do we say at the end of the show?
We ask everyone to pray for the Ukraine, for Israel. We ask them to pray for Iran, for the people of the United States, and for President Donald J. Trump. Please do that. And God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.